What is the value of MLS data? And we hear talk about this over the last couple of years. We've heard a lot about this because we know that what happens is MLS data goes to major public portals today, and then it's viewed by everybody. And so the statement that we made up, used in the industry to socialize this idea that the more people that see your listings, the better, was distribution trumps destination. Distribution trumps destination. And so data from multiple listing services did not find its way to the internet all by itself. It had to be directed. And we had to create a message. But we had some fears back in the early days of data distribution. And one of the fears we had is we had this fear of duplicate data. And we had a fear that the listing would appear on one website multiple times. Because imagine if you're one of these portals, a Realtor.com, a Zillow, a Trulia. You're a portal and you're taking data from any source. Now, Realtor.com is probably not a good example, but the other ones are great examples. And you take the data from a multiple listing service, but if you can't get the data from a multiple listing service, you might go to the broker to try to get it. And if you can't get it from the broker, you might go to the agent to try to get it. Well, what if you were successful in all three? And you're one of these portals and you've got listing data on a house for sale, but you got it from 3 different sources. Which one are you going to choose and display? And the one that the portal chooses and displayed is the one we refer to as the authoritative source. And so when you're talking about giving your listing data to a portal, make sure you find out if your providing of the data is going to be the authoritative source. Another thing that we think of often when we think of the distribution of MLS data is the construction of derivative works. You see, that listing data has value. It might not look like very much, but somebody could take that data and turn it into something. They might be able to take a lot of data about properties that are sold and come up with a way to estimate the value of a property. That's a derivative work. And so works that can be derived from the basic MLS information, those derivative works, sometimes multiple listing services and brokers think if any revenue is going to be generated off this data that we went out and collected, we should be entitled to it. But when you give that data to some of these portals, you need to make sure you check the data licensing agreement, because if you don't want derivative works created around your data, you got to make sure you don't sign a contract that allows that vendor to do just that. So derivative works. Now, what happens when this listing data goes up on these portals is consumers will go to these portals and these portals will then collect all of this consumer data. So the data from the MLS and from the broker, the real estate property data draws consumers. There's behavioral data. So there's huge value in data and in information. And the real estate industry provides this data, for the most part, free to the world. When you do that, things you want to be concerned with, derivative works, the duplication or deduplication or the authoritative source, and then just kind of always keep this in mind. What kind of human behavioral data gets collected around your multiple listing service or real estate listing data?